This is Tacoincidence, where we learn the secrets of breakthrough brand experience from the most brilliant leaders while we're on the search for the perfect taco. Taco stop number 5. What's your word? I met up with Chris Pan at Tocaya Organica in West Hollywood, California. He's the founder and CEO of MyIntent.org, maker of custom bracelets and necklaces that spark meaningful conversations.
Jenny, if I were to make you a bracelet with a single word to remind you to be your best self, what would you put on that bracelet?
Even with scores of celebrities and over 2 million people worldwide wearing these one-of-a-kind bracelets engraved with each person's chosen word of inspiration, Chris says they're not a jewelry company. MyIntent is a service project, a catalyst to help all of us live with more purpose and passion. I wanted to learn why he believes in the power of brand experience, what he does to create it, and how it's helped him thrive. All over tacos.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks
Please.
so much for making the time and for suggesting this place.
Have you ever been down to Tequila?
Mexico?
Tequila, Mexico. It's an hour outside of Guadalajara. The food is amazing. It reminds me of the Napa of Mexico.
Wine country?
Yeah, that's where they grow all the agave plants for the tequila.
Oh, for the tequila, yeah.
And they have just amazing restaurants down there. It's like a total gourmet foodie experience.
What took you there?
I was just down there for vacation and needed to be in Guadalajara for a layover. Had an extra day, and the
Why
hotel,
not?
They had a tour to Tequila, so I said this would be fun. You know?
Have you been to Mexico City?
Yeah.
You have?
Powerful place.
Oh, I know. It's
So
my
much
favorite place.
energy there.
Oh,
The food was incredible too.
incredible, right?
Yeah.
Like the saddest thing about Mexico City is the physical limitations of your stomach. You just want to keep eating as much as you can. Is that the Diablo chicken?
Yeah, it's got some fire to it. It's nice.
Oh, good. I am like spicier the better. So the last time I went, there were about 30 entrepreneurs, business leaders,
Wow.
and we had luchadores, the wrestlers, train us for 2 hours
How
in
fun.
the ring.
Wow.
We all got our masks on.
That's
They're like
amazing.
jumping up there, like teaching us how to slam on the mat.
Super
it was
fun.
So great.
Super fun.
Thank you so much for the bracelet.
Love it. They're awesome.
That is so cool. Everywhere you go, you're making bracelets for people.
Oh.
That's so cool. And you've been doing that, you've been doing
Like
it for
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Do you just always carry one of those around with you?
A lot of times. Yeah. It's fun.
Tell me about how it all got started. Because
It got started January of 2013.
Okay.
When I was at a retreat called the Hoffman Process. 7 days of 14 hours of deep inner work every day. So no phone, no...
focus.
Yeah, it was like focused on deep inner work. And there were a few principles that they had that I really appreciated. They wanted us to only talk about our own experience rather than give each other advice. They really wanted to share what was present for us, what was coming up. So really tuning into our own feelings and our own thoughts, our own emotions. They asked us a lot of questions and there was a lot of teaching, but they never told us what to do and what to think and what to be. And I thought that was very powerful because if you think about our world, there's a lot of people telling us, whether it's preachers, brands, teachers, coaches, they're telling you what you should believe, what you should be doing. And at this retreat, it was all about our own answers, finding our own truth. Those have been some of the core tenets of the MyIntent experience because I wanted to bring that retreat experience to people who may not have thousands of dollars and a week of time to go to this retreat. So on the last day I was there, I said, hey, how do I enable my friends and family to also have a similar type of connection with themselves and with each other? And there was so much of sharing that was going around of things that mattered instead of just a little small talk. And so with this little process that I take people through of finding their word, I get a little peek into what's really going on with them, what matters the most. I learn a lot of wisdom, a lot of insight into just what's true and what's present in a meaningful way. And there's a lot of positivity that happens.
And so how did you think of, or how did it come about to
To do
pound
that.
the letters
I had a friend
into
that showed me how to do it and gifted me a set of tools, and I just started doing it. And I didn't think I would really like it. I didn't think much of it, but it's a very addictive experience because you give it to someone and they're super happy and that joy comes back, and then months later they'll call you and they'll say, hey, this is what happened, like it fell off at the perfect time and this came true, and it's a great way to connect. And it's very inexpensive, it's very fast, but it leaves a very deep and meaningful impression.
We were just talking to Jenny. You asked her, and was caught off guard. I
Yeah.
mean, she probably doesn't get that.
Well,
that
that's the
type
other
of-
thing that is
It's so cool.
that this level of reflection doesn't happen that often for most people. In one of my favorite books, the author says this happens for most people once a year, usually on New Year's Eve. Right? They think about their New Year's resolution, but for a lot of high performers, this actually happens quite often. For high performers, they're always thinking about what do I need? How can I be a better person? How can I serve? How do I want to show up? And so what we're actually doing is we're not really making jewelry. We're taking people on a bit of a journey, a bit of introspection, reflection, and then we make a little reminder, a little keepsake that they get to take with them.
Introspection,
Yeah.
self-analysis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that was really cool to see that process like just play out right there, and then your friends over there too.
Yeah.
I'd love you to walk me through the process too when
Sure.
we'll do that for dessert.
Sure.
So at what point? So this started out as like a
Just a passion project, just something.
Passion project,
just something
but
that
at
I
what
did for
point-
people. It
yeah.
was a nice thing that connected me to. I just moved to LA and was looking to build community.
Yeah.
Was building more meaningful connections and just started doing this for people that showed up in my house. I started having these gatherings and everybody that came would have the opportunity to get one. And it just kept rolling.
And so at what point did it become what you're doing?
It was
Become a business.
It's like one thing led to another. It was, a friend wanting to do this as a charity event. A friend said, hey, we're raising money for orphans with HIV in Africa. Can you come and make some and take donations and give it, as a donation?
Yeah.
So I said, of course. So we did that, and then I had some friends that wanted to just have a little bit more income. And then I just said, hey, let's try a website. Because people were asking me to get more for their friends and family or for themselves. And
Totally.
at a certain point, I was like, I just need to have a website where you can just order some. I just couldn't keep up with all the requests anymore. And then I made one for Jay-Z over at Soho House just down the street.
Yeah, yeah.
And that turned into the cover of the Time magazine with Kanye. Beyonce, Rihanna, the Today Show picked us up. And I distinctly remember when I made one for the producer of the Today Show, she had a bit of a moment. She had some tears coming down, like when I asked her, took her through some of the questions, and I didn't say that much. I asked her like maybe 2-3 questions, and something connected. And next thing you know, I was at the Today Show office fixing her bracelet, and they started rolling film, and I was just doing my thing, and they just told a whole story about it. It's pretty cool.
How long ago was that?
2015,
Yeah.
summer. Many bracelets ago.
Many bracelets ago.
Yeah, many intentions ago.
Wow. Well, that is just amazing. I just imagine, do you stop and think, how many do you say you estimate you've made?
In the millions, like somewhere between 1 and 2 plus.
How cool is that? Getting inspired on a regular basis. Now, from what I've read, this
Yeah.
isn't about bracelets though.
No.
This isn't about jewelry. You
No.
didn't set out thinking I want to be a jeweler, an accessory guy. There's so what is this all about for you, and how does that translate into building a whole business around it?
Yeah, this is a service project. So I think about this as life coaching or just a good connection, a good conversation with a takeaway. Like a good conversation around finding your word feels like a life coaching session, or like a heart-to-heart.
Yeah.
Depending on there's probably a spectrum, right? There's just like a good heart-to-heart to like a full-on coaching session.
Yeah.
And you get to have something with you that reminds you of what you committed to.
Yeah.
And so if you think about the process of finding your word, I just took like a week of deep inner work and I try to compress it into 5 minutes, or 2 minutes actually. But it's a similar experience of introspection and figuring out what your next step is.
Yeah. So how have you structured this? Because you basically, what started out as a passion project now has a team. Like, what does your team look like?
It has a team. We have a team of folks that I call it like the support center essentially, and this is borrowing from my days at PepsiCo. They had support center at a country level, and then they had kind of the local market level. And I think of us as sort of the support center where we're providing the maker kits and the refill bracelets to people out there. We have over 30,000 people that have purchased the maker kits. And they're out doing it at their local yoga studios, at their churches, when they're having a dinner party, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, you name it, they've probably used our maker kit. Well, the most important thing is probably helping people stay focused on helping others find a word of intention. Sometimes people just want to stamp something funny, or they want to stamp like their pet's name, and I'm like, that's cute, that's kind of meaningful to you, but I think we can go a little deeper. And I think that focus has been what's separated us from a lot of other arts and crafts projects. There's a lot of people that just go around and stamp your name. Nothing wrong with that. It's just not what we're about and what we're interested in. I mean, sometimes it's nice when people get their name because they're like, I want to make sure I listen to my own voice. I trust my own intuition. I stand up for me. That makes a lot of sense. But there's a deeper intention in just, what we're trying to avoid is someone just getting their name because they hadn't done the work. They hadn't actually gone and said, what do I really need to remind myself of?
It sounds like that's like one of your big differentiators is this.
Yeah, I think
this personal connection,
I think
right?
It's about intention. It's about words of inspiration, and it's about you creating your own word. So we don't do pre-made. We don't have these are our top 10 or 15, 20 words, and you grab one. We invite you to think about your own word, and then we'll make it for you. Right, and even if you get the word love, it's because you've thought about it and you've really, gone to a deeper level. Yeah, not because it was just off the shelf and you just grabbed it. We wanted you to come up with it yourself, and then that goes back to the retreat where the experience was you have the answers. We believe that you fundamentally have what you need. You know what you need more than anybody else, and rather than relying on someone else to tell you what you need, you figure it out. Yeah, because that actually. It's more like instead of giving someone a fish, it's teaching them how to fish. If you can teach someone how to ask the right questions, they'll be able to continue to support themselves rather than you always having to feed them, the answers.
Have there been any challenges in the process of making sure that you're staying true to the experience? This whole experience that I just witnessed and that I'm excited to do.
Sometimes it's hard to scale. Almost interrupting people and getting them to pause for a moment to reflect. Because for someone to purchase one of our products, someone has to do the work of reflecting on what their word is, but you have to actually do some work. And so that can be expensive actually as we think about our business model of getting the attention of someone and having them pause with us long enough to figure out what their word is. Because most people are busy and they're scrolling through their feeds and maybe they just haven't had the time to do the work. And so this requires a bit of work to participate. Yeah. But when you do, it's very rewarding.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Especially given the fact that, obviously this has been something that's really important to you personally. Impact, making a difference.
Yeah.
It sounds a lot like changing the world, type of talk.
Yeah.
But you never imagined that please go ahead.
No, please keep going.
But did you ever imagine when you were at HBS or at any point growing up that this is what you would be doing?
No. I didn't think I'd be making bracelets. I did have when I was in high school and college, I was very involved with my youth group. Then I was very involved with self-help, motivational, inspirational speaking type of opportunities. So I definitely have those as roots, as kind of foundation. And I feel like this is kind of an innovative expression of that. In a way, this is a ministry.
Yeah.
Just in a very unique format.
Totally.
Like a one-on-one connection that's, And the other thing is we're not judgmental of what you need and what you decide.
What your word is.
Yeah, I just like to ask a lot of questions, and if I feel like there's an opportunity to go a little deeper or explore, I'll just keep asking you questions. But it's your word. I'm not going to tell you if it's good or bad, or it's just my only questions are usually, is this something that you'll want to wear for weeks to come? Is this something that's going to make you a better person? Is this something that's going to inspire you? Is this something that's going to, help you overcome that challenge in your life, whatever that is? And if the answers are yes, then you've got the right word. If it's not, then let's keep exploring.
Keep going.
Yeah. Because I hate to make something for someone and then a day later it's in the bottom of their drawer.
Yeah.
Right? Because then it's like
it
a
needs
total
to be
waste of
meaningful for them.
resources. And,
Yeah, for sure.
you know, it's just, I don't get excited about that. But I do get excited when I see someone 3 months later or a year later, sometimes a couple years later, they're still wearing it. And, you know, they tell me how it's helped them at certain moments and, you know, crossroads in their lives. And
How do you feel? Like, I noticed your equipment, it's all branded. Everything's like a kit. Obviously you know, probably didn't start out like that.
No, no, it was awful what we started with. I should show you, like, we're probably on V5 right now, but yeah. One of the things I learned at Facebook, I was part of the growth team at Facebook.
Yeah.
And what we did was remove barriers. Barriers for people to have a meaningful experience on Facebook. And so I took a lot of the same lessons and said, okay, how do we remove the barriers to people having a good experience with MyIntent, right? And so we have a smaller hammer than what you would normally see, right?
Yeah.
And actually our next version is even like got a bigger head, so it's even heavier and it's easier to pound in. But we wanted a smaller hammer than the traditional bigger hammer because it's easy to take with you and it's easier to be more precise with a smaller hammer.
Sure.
And then I realized a lot of times I go to places where I need it's kind of dark. It's like ambient lighting. So originally I just ordered some of these off Amazon, and then I was buying in such quantities I just ended up getting our brand on it. And this is important to me because I wanted people to realize that this isn't about making bracelets, but when I'm working with someone, they see this and they usually get really excited about our mission, and they understand what this is about. So this is a branded kit, optimized for a great experience, and we continue to improve to make it even better.
How do you feel that that's impacted your impact? Like your thoughtful design of
this was
moment.
key. I knew there was no way that I was going to make enough bracelets to really make a difference, that much of a difference, you know. But now if you multiply what I do by 30,000,
right? You get these in the hands of 30,000 people.
Yeah,
right?
and they're doing it in places, and a lot of times they have way more extravagant displays and activations than we do. Like I'm a very simple guy, and that's actually something that, you know, for me, it's all about the word, and it's all about the experience of connecting. Some of the makers, I think, you know, and also people, they just see, they build these elaborate displays, which there's nothing wrong with. It's just, like, I'd rather spend my energy connecting with people. You know, and so most of the activations I do, the displays are tiny, and there's, like, very little branding other than just here, but it's more about, I always say, I'd rather go up to people with a big smile and warm energy and say, hey, how are you? Like, what's your word? Huh? What do you mean? Oh, and have that interaction versus having like a giant sign. I mean, that works too, but to me, it's more interesting when you have the personal interaction.
Why do you think this has resonated so well with so many?
I think this...
Is it because of what you just said?
I think...
Because we live in this like disconnected, like a lot of this like transactional world instead of
I think there's probably a few factors. I'll go back to one story. I always train the team to say, hey, we need to help someone find their word as soon as possible before we talk about anything with, you know, how did it start, what's it, you know, who else has been wearing, like, none of that matters. What matters is connecting someone to their intention. And then I'm happy to talk to you about whatever you want, but I want to help you find your intention, because when I do that, and it's a word that actually means something to you, you're going to get it. Like, I don't have to explain anything. You know, I used to have this example when I used to train people back in the day about the internet. It was like, you know, instead of explaining what the internet was about, just have them experience it. You know, instead of explaining to someone how an apple tastes, just have them take a bite.
Yeah.
And so instead of explaining to someone, oh, there's some power in like wearing your word on your bracelet, I'd rather them just actually have the experience. As soon as, the quicker I can do that, then they've had the brand experience, right? And then from there, it's just gravy. It's like icing on a cake, but that's the cake. So that's fundamental to what we do. It's connecting people to their purpose, to their strength, to their truth. You know, what matters to them.
Yeah.
You know, when Kanye wore it on the cover of Time, I actually talked to the photographer that shot the photo. He was like, oh, this is my word. This is my bracelet. He was not like, oh, this is Chris's bracelet or this is a MyIntent bracelet. He's like, I picked the word beautify. This is my, you know, purpose in the world. This is what I do. And he was proud to wear it. He wanted it in the shot.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's key is if you think about Facebook, when I worked there, we always say people don't like Facebook. People like their friends. And people want to see their friends' photos and their friends' updates. If you take away their friends, Facebook is just a shell.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I always think about MyIntent as, you know, people don't love MyIntent. People love their word and they love their intention.
Yeah.
That's what they really love.
Yeah.
We're just the catalyst. We're just the
Making it
conduit
happen.
to help connect the dots. We're the canvas.
Yeah. So for other business leaders, other entrepreneurs that like are listening to this story and hearing and feeling the impact that you're having on a very personal level with your customers and with your clients, and how would you take these principles that you've implemented in your organization
Yeah.
of impact, of connection, of meaning? What would that look like for other businesses? Like, how do you see this principle being fleshed out in other businesses?
Just make sure you're creating value. What is the real impact you're having? Is there impact, or is it just a gimmicky thing that's cool to try once, but really there's nothing there? You know, like I always go back to, how are we helping someone be a better version of them? You know, that's ultimately our mission, and that's what makes me excited. That's what is fulfilling. Versus, hey, you know what? We sold like, you know, if I get an order and I see like certain words, I'm like, oh, this is just like merch. Like, we're not in the business of selling merch. People don't want to wear merch. Merch just gets tossed in a drawer. But you know, I see the orders that come in. I see why people chose what they chose. I'm like, yeah, people are doing it right. Like, we're having impact. Because it's easy to just kind of sell out and just take the orders or just do whatever makes the short-term cash. But ultimately, you're not having, you know, you're not fulfilling the mission. And be clear about the purpose of why you're in business. That goes back to the brand promise.
You just told me you've done tens of thousands of these. Is
Yeah.
there anything in all of your experiences, anything that rises to the top and you're like, wow, that was like a real milestone moment for me? Or where maybe you felt the impact of all of this effort and hard work that you're doing?
I think there were a few. One of the first ones that I distinctly remember was just the word live. And this was within a month or two of starting the project, having the website, and someone just bought a bracelet and posted on Instagram and said, you know, as someone that struggles with suicidal thoughts, this is just a reminder for me that I chose to live. I was like, whoa, like, you know, this is
Wow.
this is what we're doing. Like, all right, that's cool. Another one I remember was this gentleman. I was at Will.i.am Studios making them for some of his artists, and this guy that worked in production, he comes up and he's like, I want the word 15. And I made it, gave it to him, and he said, okay. I said, why'd you pick 15? It's kind of an odd one. He said, well, in January, I've been sober for 15 years. You know, so I just remember, like, those are like the 1-2 punch. It's like, whoa, you know, this is what people are putting into it. It's, I think for a lot of people, this is almost like a tattoo. You know, the same reason people get a tattoo, it's that thing that means the most to them. And what's nice is you can swap it out. You can, you know, have multiple takes.
This is your word this year.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if more businesses were this clear about their purpose and this dialed into creating such a personal, such a meaningful experience with their customers. What would that world look like? Like, if every business, I mean, just look down here, we're in Sunset,
and
you know, like every single one of these businesses, what if they like cared as much as you do, or even just a little bit more?
Yeah.
What would that look
the
like?
funny thing is, my gut says, it's not really, it's not so much about the dialing in, like all that you said. I think the reason this works for us is because we're about emotional and spiritual growth.
Yeah.
And so that's important because we're taking people through the process. But, you know, if you're just going to get, you know, something simple.
Tires.
Yeah, like you may not need, you know, a deep, hard, I mean, maybe that works too, but you may actually prefer to just be able to come in and out and just get your tires done, for example. And so we're just in a unique, you know, niche where we're helping people go deep. You know, I consider this inner work. I do think the world could use more places for that. You know, I read a study. I actually listened to a podcast. The title was called How We Gather. And they said more and more Americans are going to places like SoulCycle and their yoga studios for community, for a place to gather. Like, you know, as we're a very mobile you know, generation, we're not necessarily with, you know, the people we grew up with. Some of us still go to church, some of us don't. But there's more and more people that are looking for a meaningful connection.
Yeah.
And there's a big opportunity to fill that need and to serve people that are craving for something deeper. And
So if you were to have a conversation with individual business leader and this person, she asked you, what advice would you give me? What's one thing I could do today to create a more personal, meaningful experience like you do with your business?
Oh man, well, I guess it depends on the business. But for me, it's standardize on the things that don't matter and then offer customization where it does matter. You know, for us, like we don't have that many colors. People are always like, hey, why don't you do this style and that style? I'm like, no, like that's the enemy, like less SKUs. You know, but we do let people, but the one thing is we let them customize the heck out of full customization on their word. But all the other stuff we try to reduce because it reduces complexity. So I've seen, for example, apparel businesses where they offer way too much choice. And so that's one thing is the paradox of choice. Sometimes less is more. And get focused on what actually moves, 80, 20, 90, 10. So maybe that's, and focus on what actually drives your business.
Okay, so walk me through the process. There's questions, right?
So yeah, we have 3 questions that we have on our homepage that we think are very helpful to someone finding their word.
Okay. I'm ready.
So the first one is think about a virtue or quality you want more of in your life. And think about who do you want to be, right? That's a B question. It's like, who do you want to be? What's a virtue or quality you want more of in your life?
Yeah. You want me to verbalize?
It's up to you. It's your show.
Okay.
Do whatever you want.
No. I mean, I don't know. Then does the next question build off of that?
Yeah.
Or?
Well, I mean, I could say like things like, do you want to be more patient? Do you want to be more kind? Who do you want to be, like the person, right?
So what's showing up for me lately is I've spent a lot of time working on figuring out my ikigai, right? My purpose for being.
That's a great word, by the way.
Right?
Yeah.
It's such an awesome process. And spent a lot of time on that.
Okay.
And meditation, prayer, seeking like inspiration on what that needs to be. And I'm feeling so energized and very focused and with so much clarity on what that is.
Okay.
And so recently I received a blessing that one of the things that I needed more, and I feel this too, is this phrase that's why I was counting the letters.
What's the phrase?
Divine confidence.
Wow. Okay. What does that mean?
For me, that means that's faith.
Yeah.
It's faith in God's plan for me.
Yeah.
It's faith in, I believe that every single person has a unique contribution to make to the world based on their experience, on who they are, and their characteristics, their strengths, their weaknesses, their challenges, their gifts. And honing in on that for myself has been a really transformative process. And once I've felt what that is, the divine confidence is what's going to propel me forward without fear.
Yeah.
Because why should you have fear if you know that that's what God's purpose is for you?
Right. Beautiful.
And so that's been something that's a big focus of mine. That's really been present in my life over the past months and especially over the past month.
Building divine confidence.
Yeah, and feeling that and moving forward without fear, and with complete trust and faith.
Yeah.
And bravery
Yeah.
and courage.
All of that.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of words surrounding all of that, but divine confidence, I think, is too many letters.
It's a bit long. We could put it on 2 different ones, or we could do like D and then confidence, or we could do the word divine. Yeah, there you go.
DivCon.
That'd be cool. It's like a code. Sounds like a military code. DEFCON. It's like DivCon.
We could do DivCon.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Let's do it.
All right, we could do that. We have the 3 questions. You know, who do you want to be? What do you want to have? What do you want to do? And between those 3 questions, usually people will figure out their word. And then usually they'll have a few, and then I usually ask them, like, what's the most important one, or what do you need the most of?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool. Special thanks to our host, Tocaya Organica, for creating the ideal place for us to talk about breakthrough brand experience, and really to make bracelets on the fly for their team, other taco guests, and even me. I've loved wearing my personal reminder to have divine confidence. Thanks, Chris. Now, this modern Mexican taqueria is super SoCal with its organic meats, locally sourced produce, and chef-recommended protein and cheese pairings for your tacos. And they make some good tacos. I always have to give props when a taqueria makes their own handmade tortillas like they do here. So when you go, definitely try the tinga or the Diablo chicken tacos. Join our epic taco journey on our website. You're not going to want to miss out on the national taco tour we're planning when we launch the book, The Search for the Perfect Taco. So follow us on social media, subscribe to our channel, and tune in to another episode of Tacoincidence, where we'll continue to explore the secrets to level up your brand experience and your taco game. Okay, just throwing this in here. El Pilon. So I'm totally so Hollywood right now with my golden greens. It's good. And
We've partnered with them.
oh, you have?
Yeah, they order our bracelets and then they send me some juice.
Trade. Inspiration for green fuel.
Oh yeah.
That's beautiful.